Welcome back to the HBA Hours After Hours podcast, produced by your local Homebuilders Association of Greater Kansas City. As always, I'm your host, Will Reuter, and with me, as usual, is
Keith Sorrow. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. The sun's shining.
It is.
Just wrapped up the parade of homes, so we've got some people in some good moods, hopefully, because they're selling some products. So
definitely selling. I heard there was massive traffic.
It was very good. So my members being in a good mood puts me in a good mood.
Absolutely.
And the vice versa is also true, as you
I deal with
know.
it too. Nobody wants to buy an ad if they're in a bad mood.
There you go. No one wants to buy much of anything except maybe a liquor store run if they're in a bad
perfect
mood.
stop.
But maybe
That's
we'll
right.
do a little
Kill the
non-dues
pain.
revenue. Selling some booze. We got a great episode for you today. Good friend of the program. And by program, I mean the HBA, NAHB world. Good friend to me. A great leader out of Topeka, Kansas. And that's Mike Pressgrove with PDQ Construction. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
By the way, today's podcast is sponsored by Ferguson Home. Let's not forget those guys.
How could we forget those guys?
We could never forget them.
Title sponsor of the Artisan Home Tour,
right.
and helping us out to produce this content for you all today.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself, your road to where you got here in life, good, bad, or otherwise, and a little bit about you.
That's a long story. I'm not sure we got enough time for that, but my father was a carpenter years and years ago. He was an old-time carpenter, though. I was kind of afterthought. He was born in 19, and so when he was carpentering, he didn't have much in the way of power tools. And so growing up working with him, I thought, man, I don't think I can do this. So I bolted and went in the military. And when I got out,
he was using all hand tools.
Oh yeah. It was brutal. But he was really good. And out of the military, first job I got was carpentering. But at that point, there were power tools, and I'll never forget, they came out with a drill, a Makita 9-volt cordless drill, and I thought I was king of the world. So that's where that started, and I worked at that for quite a while. But after doing that for so long, I decided, I think I can do this on my own, and took off. And did that for a while, and then I got so busy and so popular. I was a good carpenter, but I was not a very good businessman. I didn't go to college. Air Force did not teach you anything like that. Neither did high school. So I decided I needed to do something. So I went to my first National Remodeler show, sponsored by NAHB in 2006. I'd incorporated and started hiring people in 2003, and I went in and they had professional designations, which sparked my interest, and they had all these different courses, and so the first thing I did is they had what they called a prep test, and you take this 3 or 4 hour long prep test, and it shows you what you need. And I thought, well, I'm gonna blast through this, and well, what it does is it determines on how many courses that you take, and to be able to pass. And I thought, well, this is gonna be pretty easy, and I went through that thing, and results came back, and sure enough, I had to take the maximum of my classes.
You need it all.
But which in hindsight was really great, because there were so many things that I learned. I mean, there was project management and just all these different things that I never thought of. Probably my favorite course I ever took was called Negotiating Skills.
Okay.
I thought, well, what is this? Well, at the time, you had to be in person. Matter of fact, I told you I took my certified aging in place specialist right here in this building, and you had to go. It was all in person, so it was either at a show or different courses, around the country. And I went to like 13 different cities getting these designations, and had to drive all the way to Fort Worth for that negotiating skills. But it was probably the coolest course I took, because it put you in real life. You're talking about. Learn how to talk to customers, your subs,
Did they go through like
employees.
objections, rebuttals,
It
how to
was-
overcome,
it was-
right?
it
It's like a
was-
sales class.
It was intense, and you had to get up in front of this class and play through that, and then they'd go back and you get suggestions and stuff. So it was just super cool. So
Did you sell anything?
Well,
Eventually.
Just hypothetically, I mean, in the fake environment.
I tell you what, through the years, that course has helped me out.
I bet it has.
A bunch. But that's where that started. And through the years, I ended up with my certified aging in place specialist, certified green professional, certified graduate remodeler. And then after you've been in it for like 9 years and had that, you could go through and take courses to get your master remodeler, which I did. So, which brings me to another thing. You talk about how I got here, but a little piece of it. So that did so much for me, and business started really going good. I put things into place to just make things work. And
do the clients know, or the prospects know about you when they see your accreditation? Does it make a difference to them?
Absolutely. Because when, say for instance, our home show, you're in there with all these, the remodelers and builders, and you show that you're a master remodeler, through the National Association of Home Builders, that meant something, and people would ask, well, what does that mean? And you start telling them, this really didn't teach us how to be good carpenters. This taught us how to take care of people, and so it worked really, really well. And up to just a few months ago, I've been in business, for that long, and I've never advertised except for our home show, and it was things like that that made a difference. Well, so moving on down the road about the credentialing system, I know you wanted to touch on that.
You bet.
But I started getting really involved in National and our home builders at in Topeka, and I started going to their Professional Remodelers Council, and it really was, for lack of a better word, a joke. They sat around and they drink coffee or have drinks, towards the end of the day, but they had no substance. And about my fourth trip there, I'm like, do you guys do anything else? Is this even worth coming? And so I got the big, well, you think you're so smart, then
it's yours.
Yeah. So I became the chairman of the Remodelers Council, and just totally, it was so cool because we'd go from, 6 people in a meeting to, my very first meeting, we had 24 people show up, and I thought, man, that's a win. Well, the next month I had about 48, and the month after that I had 56.
Okay, and
it just started really going. But I had substance in there. I'd bring some people in there to talk about different things, and so shortly after that, they thought, well, they did a pretty good job there. So then I was the chairman of the board for the first remodeler, chairman of the board of the Topeka Home Builder Association. Yep. So that really got me into things. And then, they got me to be a delegate for Topeka, and I've done that for, I'm a life delegate now. So I've been doing that for quite a while, and they had a designation subcommittee that I got on through remodelers. And I learned really quick that it was changing, because the very next meeting we had, they changed the name to like Knowledge and Innovation Committee, subcommittee. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is happening. So I immediately got on the education committee, and that was kind of a mistake for them, because I was really a thorn in their side, but it's really cool because
they made you chairman.
Well, they did not make me chairman.
Well, of the other association.
But what was really
not yet.
What was really cool about that is I bucked it really hard. I'm like, you guys can't get rid of this. This was so good. Well, we're gonna revamp. We're gonna come up with something else. And I'm like, okay, I want to be part of that. So that was about I'm saying 6-7 years ago. And so I stuck with it, and they decided that they were going to, try to put something together. And so for the last 3 years, especially, we worked really hard to put, another credentialing system together that meant something that was not only, accredited with the Home Builders Association, but accredited, nationwide. And that finally came to fruition this year. And so we now have 2 professional designations through the Home Builder Association that's nationally accredited. And one's a master remodeler and one's a master builder. And I can tell you we had 2 sides to that. We had a side that put things together, and we had a whole nother side that came up with all the test questions, people that have been around forever. And it's not a test that you study for, which is really kind of cool about it. It's a test on your experience, and things that the things that I learned going through there. And where do you get that knowledge? Through the Home Builders Association, through their education department, which has a plethora of education. It's just
got to show up.
It's incredible. You have to, and now most of that stuff you can get online. They have, with this Zoom, everybody can get on and you can take all this stuff and learn this stuff. And so it's really kind of a tough thing. You go through the process of the testing, but also you have the other side of having to go through and prove that, you have to be, in business for at least 5 years. You've got to show that you're insured and licensed. And I mean, everything it's not just something you go down the candy store and buy.
Right. You can always stroke a check for some kind of recognition, but this has some teeth to it.
Oh, it absolutely has teeth to it. But
when you graduate the master program, they give you a sofa. You know why? Because you're counseling your clients. Lay down. Tell me about your mother. Right?
I like that. I like that. But it is going, and people can tell, I've obviously never sat through somebody else's spiel to sell something. Mm-hmm. But people have got to be able to tell, that you're running a good ship when you have, all those things in place, to look, act, talk, and be professional. And it's your sales tool. I mean, like I told you, of course, we're in a different market, but I don't spend money on advertisement.
Blasphemy. No, I'm sorry. I said that out loud. I'm just kidding.
I know. But, but that's in a market. Our metro area is just shy of 250,000 people.
I get it.
So
I'm just teasing you.
So it's probably different. But when you have something like that to make yourself stand apart from everybody, that's got to be worth something.
Right.
But away from the designations, I really got involved with the National Remodelers Council, and so much so I was on the board of trustees for a while and attended all their meetings, and then wouldn't you know it, they asked me to chair it, and so in 24 I was the chairman of the National Association of Home Builders Remodelers Council, and which was really cool. I mean, it was a job. I mean, we met every week, so it really takes out of your day. But it's not only for the 1 year. You've got to go
right
up the ladder, and so you spend 4 years doing that. But the chairmanship was really cool because I got to go around the country and meet with different councils, and it was a really great experience, talking to people like this and telling benefits of being a member of the not only the Home Builder Association, but of course the Remodelers Council.
I'm glad this season's on camera. He hasn't stopped smiling since he started talking. Have you noticed that?
I know. Yeah.
That's true passion. That's true love.
Anytime
of
I'm
what
around
he's doing.
Will,
Is that what it is? But it's true. I mean, you can just feel that, like, you love what you do, like you love it. Even the committees. Well, there's a lot of work to be on those committees.
It is
while you're trying to run a business.
Served me well though, and it was tough. Mm-hmm. And if I'm being honest, had I not gone through all that and made my business run itself, I wouldn't have had, the opportunity to do that. I don't have to be in my business because I followed all those steps. And the other cool thing about especially National and going and meeting with all those people is there is a wealth of information that all these guys before you, that you see, they are so willing to help. You get to know these guys. They don't even care if they know you. I mean, if you're new to the Remodelers Council, they'll give you a card, say, hey, if you got, problems, whatever, you give me a call. And by God, they do.
That's great.
It's just an amazing
brotherhood.
It is. Absolutely. And it has served me so well that I felt like that was my way of giving back. And
Well, you're not just, somebody that just kind of stepped up to the plate because there was nobody there. Clearly, you've got some leadership qualities, Mike, up to and including the fact that 2024, you were not only just the chairman of the National Remodelers Council, you were named the National Remodeler of the Year in the entire country.
It's incredible.
That was pretty cool, especially being from a small town, because you see so many of them from, large cities.
What was the project?
Things. Well, it wasn't a project.
It's all your projects.
No.
I look at everything you do.
It was wild. You have to be nominated for that. And I didn't know I was nominated. People got together to nominate me, and it's pretty rigorous, because after that, like last year, I judged the new, this year's Remodeler of the Year. So I saw what they had to go through, and I didn't do any of it. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork you fill out and a lot of things you go through, but it was really cool. I mean, the experience. It was at the International Builder Show, and they had the presentation at Caesar's Palace at the Best in American Living Awards. And it just so happened that year that I put one of our kitchens in and won a silver award with one of our kitchen projects. And I thought it was really strange when I walked in there. There was 30 plus people from Topeka and surrounding area. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And, I won that, we won that award, and I was like, that's awesome. Well, the top award of the night was National Remodeler of the Year. And the other thing was, my daughter lives in North Dakota, and she showed up there, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Well, they all knew about this beforehand. I had not a clue, and I won it. So I was very, very humbled, and that was one of my shining moments to be brought up, from your peers from around the country and recognized for that. So
incredible.
So that was cool.
Well, Mike, you've got leadership at the local level, leadership at the national level. You've been a leader at the state level as well. I've not been to Topeka, go to the Capitol without either running into you yourself or running into somebody who just talked to you. Oh, I just talked to Mike. So you're just kind of everywhere. And
well, sometimes that backfires on you, because
right.
At our last state meeting, I got nominated and voted in about 5 seconds to be our Kansas State rep to NAHB this year. So it does get you every once in a while.
Well, but true to form, you said, okay, and you're going to throw everything. You're going to throw everything you've got into it. But, we're the Home Builders Association of Greater Kansas City. We're, a local affiliate of the National Association of Home Builders and a local affiliate of the Kansas Building Industry Association. All of those things, kind of indicate, hey, this is all about new construction. We only want to build what's new. And, we're looking at the overall housing inventory that we've got in a place like Kansas City or anywhere, and it's our existing housing stock that is required to maintain a certain level of performance through generations. It's not just, build something new and then houses don't really go out of service in our lifetimes, right? It's gonna be well beyond our own life cycle. So, talk to me about and talk to us about how remodeling plays a role in a healthy housing market and the way that, remodeling and home building, how it's all the same licenses. It's a lot of the same subcontractors, a lot of the same suppliers. Rarely are they competitors with one another. It's all part of a healthy ecosystem. Has that been your experience?
It is. And here's a interesting fact that this past year that building expenditures throughout the country, remodeling has actually eclipsed new home builds. So they're both at 50%. So what does that tell you? I mean, there's a lot of remodeling going on. It can't be denied now. But you're right. There's you got to have new homes, but the existing stock out there, I mean, so many factors in there. One of the cool things that I did get to do is I got to give a report, to the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, while I was chairman, and they had a builder in there, Carl Harris. They had me. They had Robert Dietz in there, which is our chief economist.
Yep.
And they had a multifamily housing gentleman, and they were all given reports. Well, who did he want to hear from first? Remodeling, as I think he knew. So it's a fact, and I don't see that slowing down. Everybody's got to have the houses worked on, and so many people are staying where they're at. Who wants to give up? Or not a whole lot of people are giving up their 3s and sub 3s interest rates to even go to a 6 or 7, for a new house. And a lot of factors in there. They like where they're living, but they put money into it and stay there.
Yeah.
So,
and, I heard, our immediate past chairman of NAHB testify on Capitol Hill on multiple occasions saying, we got 137 million units of housing in this country, 130 million of which were built prior to the advent of modern building codes.
Yep.
And so you've got, whatever that percentage is, it's huge.
90-something%.
It requires, a modern, touch up as we move forward, because we are not going to be able to build our way to housing affordability. Nope. Exclusively build. Obviously, we need more supply. We need to build houses where people want to live and at a price point that they can afford. But the combination has to exist where we're also taking care of what we've got, because we are not going to be able to build as quickly. We've got workforce issues and labor supply issues. We've got, complicated
we're
supply
running into
chains.
some of the same things.
100%. And so if we are not taking care of what was built a generation or two ago and keeping it to the point where families can still live in it, then we're really going to be building into a housing crisis, because we're never going to be able to completely build new our way out of it.
Never catch up that.
And, we want builders to keep building and remodelers to keep remodeling. I mean, because, and this is not a knock against builders whatsoever, because we want them going. But, most good remodelers can build anything, but not all builders can remodel. And most of them don't want to remodel. But we want them to keep going, and I think there's I think it can always be that way as long as our economy keeps going. Yeah. Keep those guys going, because there's a housing shortage,
big time,
huge. So we've got to keep. I should have brought that. I just did a interview with our local TV station last week and had all that stuff in front of me. There's huge housing shortage out there. So,
Mike, we spent a lot of time talking with builders and councilmen and people involved in the government side of things about building codes, right? And some of the challenges that happen all the time. What's it like in the remodeling space? What are some of those challenges that you see?
Well, every municipality is different.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to run into some of the same things. Some of the things that I hear, that some municipalities try to deal with is, once you get into a remodel project, they want you to, say 40%. If you're doing more than 40%, they want you to bring the whole house up to code, and it's impossible.
Yeah.
No, well, not impossible, but it's
It wasn't budgeted.
It's restrictive on
Right.
because who's gonna at that point they're gonna like, well, I'm just gonna move. So we run into some of those same things. Topeka is very unique, and they're very open so far and have been about things like that. They always invite builders and remodelers to sit on their code boards, and they'll hash things out and before they ever send it to the city council. And that's a plus.
Communication.
It's
Right?
communication.
Isn't that amazing?
We have gotten along so well with our local code officials that all of our continuing education through the city for everybody goes through the Topeka Area Building Association. And it's a great partnership, and we don't usually fight for things that we don't think's right, and they understand that. I just hope it keeps that way. Our last two administrators, development services chiefs, have been like that. So hopefully that continues.
The culture.
Everybody struggles, and a lot of times it's the larger towns, and especially on the West Coast, they make it near impossible. And then you have some municipalities that accept like energy codes in full, and that makes it really tough too. But
yeah, case in point, in the municipality you're sitting in while we're talking about this, Mike. But I think there is finally some light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, places like Topeka recognize, hey, we have to be an inviting place for this kind of stuff to happen. And then there's some cities that maybe start using some of their own supply, and they think, well, people are going to come here no matter what, and we can do whatever we want. It's not going to have a consequence because we're so great. And I think
how's that going for some people?
Yeah, they've learned some pretty hard lessons as far as what their housing production or their remodeling stuff looks like. Because if you make the codes too restrictive especially on the remodeling side, people are going to do that work without a permit. They're still going to do the work. They're just not going to go out for permission. So there's no protection for the contractor. There's no protection for the homeowner or the people that are going to buy that house at a later time. So we always promote, go get a permit, make sure it's done right, have everything documented, all of those things. But if they become too restrictive, people are going to make a choice.
You're absolutely right.
And they're going to vote with their wallet.
Yeah.
And then you've got cities that are just like, it's not politically advantageous for us to build any more housing. So we're just going to put all these rules in and say, well, why aren't you guys building? We totally want more housing, but do you really? Because you've adopted these standards. I feel like the fever is starting to break.